Hello, so I'm testing out a new place today, testing out the lighting. It's going to get darker, so hopefully the light is still going to be enough. It's nearly a year since I've been teaching online now. You'd think I'd have it a bit more sorted now, but as I keep moving where I am, it's different every time. So welcome to Positive Pilates. A blissful blend of stretch and strength, of breath and balance. And today I've shut the dog outside, so it might just be that. We might not have the normal chaos of now sun coming in. So we're going to start standing. I'm just going to take my socks off. If you're warm enough to take your socks off, then do too. If not, keep them on for the warm up, and then we'll take them off in a little while. Although I'm in sunny Spain, it's really chilly here today because we've got the Levante. It's really strong wind, gusts of up to 70 kilometres an hour at the moment. So yeah, it's a little bit hectic today. So let's calm things down with some breaths. So just finding a comfortable standing position, just softening your knees. So what I mean by that is don't push them back like that, don't push into the knee joints, just have a little bend in them. Check in with your pelvis. Think of it like a washing up bowl. You don't want it to tip forwards so all the water spills out the front. You don't want to tip it backwards so all the water spills out the back. Just keep it balanced so the tailbone's down, and keep it in that place by gently drawing up the pelvic floor. Gently feeling that activation deep inside. Trying to relax your thighs as you do that, and then gently drawing the belly to the spine to hold it in place. So nothing too tense, we don't want to be really super tensing up there, just gently engaging in order to keep the pelvis where we want it. When we do some harder exercises, I might ask you to engage a little bit more, but get in the habit of engaging and releasing. So the two actions, the engagement and the release. Just check in with your feet, check that they're parallel. If not, make them so. Relax the shoulders. And all we're doing for the first couple of minutes is just breathing. So with each in-breath, we're going to make ourselves as tall as we can. You see, I'm only 5 foot nothing, but I just managed to grow a couple of inches. Has the added benefit of making you look a bit thinner. And breathe out. Try and maintain that length that you've just created. So if you don't maintain, kind of sink back down again. So we breathe in to lengthen. Try and maintain that length, but also try to relax everywhere that we can. The forehead, the jaw, the shoulders, the thighs, anywhere that you feel a bit of tension, just try and bring a bit of softness in on that out breath. Let's do one more. Now we've got quite a focus on mobility in the classes at the moment, so I'm going to turn around sideways. We've been doing this mobility warm-up for the past week or so. I'm going to take my hands behind the small of my back. With every in-breath now we're going to squeeze the shoulder blades together, squeeze the elbows back, take the head up just a little bit, and then as you breathe out, leave the palms there, curl the spine forwards, shoulders forwards, head forwards. So breathe in, up and back, breathe out, curling forwards. Now we're using that gentle belly engagement as we do this. Let's do one more. Okay, now take the arms out wide, palms face to the ceiling, squeeze the shoulders back, same kind of feeling, and then curl forwards as you bring the hands forwards, palms down, palms up to go back, squeezing the shoulders back, palms forwards to come down. So you're rotating the palms and the arms as you go back and forwards. Now in this version, I'm just moving the top of my back. We're going to change that in the next round. We're going to do this all again. Arms out to the side again. Keep the shoulders back, keep the shoulders down. Breathe out, reaching over. Breathe in, coming back up. breathe out, reaching over. Let's do that again. Shoulders back, shoulders down, breathe out. Now as you do this, try and keep the weight even in both feet. So normally whenever we do a move, we're not just thinking about that movement, we're thinking about the body as a whole. One more, shoulders back, shoulders down, breathe out to go over, feet equally balanced, spine still lengthening. And then we're back to the start. So hands behind the small of the back, breathing in, squeezing back, opening the chest. Breathing out, gentle belly to spine as we curl forwards. Get as much of a spine stretch as you can, down that back line. Breathing in, breathing out, belly to spine. 2 more. Last one. So the legs are staying pretty still now. Arms out to the side, figure of 8. So palms up to go back, rotate forwards, rotate to go back. So now if you want to, you can bend the knees and flow through the lower back as well. But that depends on your mobility. So you can stick with just the forwards and back with the top of the back, or you can bend the knees and push through with the lower back. And now we're back to side bend over. So shoulder height, breathing in and breathing out to go over. Breathing into the centre, breathing out over. Feet equal, feet parallel. 1 more each side. Squeeze the shoulders back, relax the arms down, roll through the shoulders, moving on to something different. I look really lopsided today. I don't know what's going on. I'm really not that lopsided. I look like I'm all at an angle. Okay, hands to shoulders, same thing, slightly bigger movement. And we've still got that shoulder blade squeezing back movement. Now it gets a bit tricky. We're going to take one arm back, start that first, and then the same movement but the other direction with the other arm. This always takes people a little minute to get. Now can we change directions? Took me more than a little minute, I have to tell you. So going back with the other arm, the one that was coming forwards, and then adding in the other arm going forwards. Now sometimes people think they're doing this, but they're doing both arms in the same direction. Now there is a method to my madness. This gets both sides of the brain working in different ways at the same time, which is super good for your brain. So we're not only working out your body, we're working out your brain. Couple more if you can. Normally it's easier one side than the other. And then stretch the arms out. Squeeze the shoulders back, squeeze the shoulders down, all the way up, stretch. So push into the ground with your feet, ground down, pull the shoulder blades down into the socket, pull the fingertips up to the sky. You can't see my fingertips now. And then we're reaching over with both arms, coming back up, shoulder blades down, over to the other side. 1 more each side. And then we're going to twist it up a little bit, so we stay over to the side, reach forwards with both arms, slightly lowering the top arm, so you're level, and then go all the way around to the other side, and then twist the other arm onto the top, so we end up in a side bend on the other side. Come back up, start again. So lengthen up, over to the side we've just come from, reach, 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 and then twist so the top arm comes down so your shoulders are level, reach forwards with both arms, all the way around to the other side. Don't worry if you've got any clunkiness. Rotate so the other arm's on top. We're on that other side bend. And then come up. Lovely. Circle that, turn the palms, circle the hands around and down. Roll through the shoulders anytime you need to. Can feel quite intensive on the shoulders, all this work. Okay, taking it into a wide squat. So just mobilising the legs a little bit here. Hands to hips if you like, hands hanging down if you like, hands out front, wherever you feel more comfortable. Deep breath in to prepare, breath out to squat. Now if you can only squat very shallow, that's fine, you go where you can go to. If you can, you work towards going a little bit lower. Keep some weight in your toes. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see my back. Now what we don't want with the back is the tailbone popping up like that. We don't want to see that dip in the back. That's going to affect the back negatively. So we're using the belly muscles to keep that back straight. So no matter how low you go or don't, we want a straight line in the back. Keep your washing up bowl in order and keep weight in your toes. You've got a lot of weight going backwards. Make sure you've got some toes to counterbalance. And that's where the arms out the front can be helpful as well. Couple more squats if you can. Remember, if it's too much to go too low, then stay up higher. Narrow squat. So this is a bit more challenging balance wise because you've not got such a stable base. So again, see how you feel. How far do you want to go down? Do you want to have your hands on your hips? Do you want to have your arms out front? 1. Take it lower if you can. 2. If you feel pretty stable here, try taking your hands up to your shoulders. If that feels okay, hands behind head. Sometimes when you do that, it makes the tailbone just pop out. So that's what we don't want. Keep the belly pulling in to stop that happening. If you can, raise the arms up high. Raise the vibe. Challenge yourself a bit more. Lovely. Stretching up. Keep the shoulders down. This time we're going to come up onto our toes. So if you know that balance is a problem for you, step out wide again. Hip width is a good distance. If you want to challenge your balance a bit more, keep your feet together. Deep breath in, shoulders pulling down, breath out, up onto the toes. Keep the big toe pushing down. Come down onto your flat feet whenever you need to, but if you can, turn the palms, circle the arms around and down, and come down. We're going to do that again. If you can stay up for longer, do, but come down whenever you need to. So breathing in, stretching up, shoulders pulling down. Breathing out, spread the toes, push into the toes, raise up. Squeeze the inner thighs, activate them, squeeze the big toes into the ground. You see my legs are a little bit wobbly here, that's good, I'm still here. The legs are wobbling, the ankles are stabilising. Use your core, so that drawing up of the pelvic floor, that drawing of the belly to the spine. Come down whenever you need to. If you can, we're going to circle the arms around and down before we lower the heels. Lovely. One more. Breath in. Got one more balance tip for you. Breath out to rise. Ooh, keep the ankles together, keep the knees together, activate the inner thighs, keep the big toes pushing down. Don't look at me, don't look at each other. My last balance tip is finding something to focus on that isn't moving. Something eye height is ideal. So like a light switch is a good thing, or a picture on the wall, a knot in a bit of wood, if you've got wooden window frames or wooden walls. Ooh. And circle the arms around and down, and lowering down. Lovely. Give your hips a little wiggle. to hip width, bit of a hip hitch. So check in with your posture. Hip hitch is really just lifting one side, lowering down. So keep lengthening through the whole spine. Lift the other hip, so you come up onto the toes, the hip hitches up, you scrunch up between the ribs and the pelvis, and then you lower down. Keep nice and long here, hip hitch, lower, hip hitch, lower. One more each side. And then we'll have some hip circles. So nice gentle movement, thinking about your washing up bowl. So we don't want that. That's not what we're going for. We're trying to keep the washing up bowl level as we just circle the hips. So it can be a small circle or a bigger circle. This light is a little bit, it's making it look a little bit like I've got a strobe light on. Okay, bigger circle if you want to. You can get the knees involved. You can get a bit freestyle here if you want to. Have a little dance around if you want to. Just do what feels good to you. You can see how much my spine is moving. So it's going side to side, front to back. And now I'm going to try and keep my hips still as I circle with the shoulders. I find this way harder. Whoop. And around the other way. So getting a different sort of spinal mobility. I'm not going to chicken out doing that again, even though I find it really hard. Couple more. So you can see my hips are moving a little bit. It's not the end of the world, we're just trying to keep them as still as possible. I can't look at myself doing it. I keep looking at the screen and that's when it all goes wrong. And then back round the other way. Okay, and then just a little bit of freestyle wiggling. Have a wiggle and a jiggle, move that spine any way that you want to. And then wide stance, stretching into the inner thighs. So we're going to lunge out to one side. So turn the foot to one side, doesn't matter which way, and lunge. Watch for your knees. Make sure you've lunged far enough. So if you need to, wiggle your foot out of the way, keep your tailbone under, lunge. So now you can see my legs in a much better place, knee over ankle. Turn back in, turn the other foot out, lunge. Turn back in, turn the other foot out, lunge. Now you can go slower if you want to. You can go deeper if you want to. It's your practice, make it your own. One more each side. Now from here, we're going to keep our legs pretty wide, just not quite this wide. Wide squat. I'm going to see how far we can go and if we can get our hands to the floor. So again, it doesn't matter if you can or you can't. I haven't got any yoga blocks here. If you have got any yoga blocks, you can get your hands to yoga blocks. If you haven't got any yoga blocks, books work pretty well as well. So I'm going to have a book here just to show you. So nice wide stance. Coming down, seeing how far you can squat, keeping your tailbone in check. Don't let it pop up. Can you get any lower? Hands to the block. And then we're just going side to side, however low you can get. So I'm up higher than I normally would be at the moment, but I've got quite tight hips. So after a few of these, I'm going to see if I can get a little bit lower. Maybe I'll take my feet out a little bit wider. Sink down. Side to side. Oh, I can feel that. I can feel that. How are you doing? Can you go a little bit lower? Side to side. And then raising the bottom, straightening the legs. If you can, take your hands to your hips, engage the belly to strengthen the spine. So you've got a nice flat back here, crown of the head looking towards the screen. And then raise up, so you're hinging at the hips, your back stays straight as you raise up. If that's not an option for you, then from here, take your hands to your shins and support yourself by walking the hands up the legs as you come up. So choose the option that's right for you today. What worked for you yesterday might not be working for you today. Look after your back, look after your body. It's the only one you've got. We're going to do a bit of balance before we go down to the floor. So we've done some two-legged balance. I'm going to try a little bit of one-legged balance. Coming onto one foot. If you know which side you're weaker on, start on that side. Push into your supporting foot. Checking with your weight. So you want the weight still about 50-50 on each side, but you're going to be using the core to support some of that weight in the middle. So check in with your posture, nice long back, tailbone's not popping out like that. Using your belly gently, push into the big toe again. Find that thing to look at, that light switch or that picture on the wall. Come up onto your very tippy toes. And then raise the knee. Now how high you raise the knee, again entirely up to you. Once you've raised it, we're going to rotate through the ankles. For some people, raising their knee up to hip height is going to make them tip backwards. That's not what we want. So if that is you, then keep the knee a little bit lower down. A couple of times in one direction, a couple of times in the other direction. And then point and flex, and point and flex. Every in-breath, think about lifting your upper body away from your lower body. It's not really going to lift, but it helps keep the weight off that supporting hip. Stay there for a little bit longer if you can. Put your foot down whenever you need to. If you can, you're going to extend the leg now, and then slowly tap down. If that's too much, then from here, just pop your foot down. If you're okay in your balance, then you can just tap down a few times. Keep lengthening, keep the weight off that other hip. Tap down a few times, and then we'll swap sides. I'll turn around so I can talk to you. Exactly the same on the other side. So check in with your balance, check in with your weight. Turn on your belly. Push into your big toe to activate that inner thigh. Come up onto the toes. Restabilize, lengthen, engage, lift the knee. Now remember, the aim is to be straight in your body. So if you're doing this with me live, I always recommend that you turn around this way so that I can see what you're doing. Engage the belly, bring the knee up. Don't bring it up so high if it makes you tip backwards. Rotate. Back the other side. Now if you did the wobblier side first, this side should feel a bit easier. And if any balance is feeling beyond you today, then please use some support. So you can have a chair, you can have a table. Even if you don't use it, you can have it nearby, and just having it nearby can help. So we're pointing and flexing, pointing and flexing, and then if you can, your option is to extend the leg. If you can't, remember, you're just going to pop it down. If you can, we're going to extend. Keep lengthening as you lower the leg down. Tap and come back up. Tap and come back up. Tap and come back up. Or if the option for you is to just pop the foot down, then you just pop the foot down. If you've put the foot down, another nice balance thing is just to alternate between the two. So you're still on both feet, but you're taking away a lot of the balance, a lot of the support, sorry. And it's a good preliminary thing. Another option to help you build up the balance strength is just to take the foot out in front and lift and lower and lift and lower. Keep lengthening through the whole spine, keep drawing the belly in, lift and lower. Let's pop that foot down, do that on the other side. So keep the tailbone down, lengthen the spine, squeeze the shoulders back, push into the big toe, lift and lower. And then just shake the legs out again. It's amazing how these tiny little movements can feel like quite a lot when we build them up. We're going back to one of my old favourite exercises before we go to the mat. I used to love teaching this on the floor, but it's really hard teaching it on the floor online. So we've been doing a lot more of it standing up. It's a similar thing, it's not quite the same standing up. It's great work for the shoulder girdle, and it's really tricky to get the hang of. So if you're working out with a friend, check each other's arms, or if you've got a mirror nearby, check the mirror. So we're starting with our arms in this square position. Let me put my top down so you can see my arms a bit clearer against the white wall. So the elbow is level with the shoulder. The shoulder is level with the elbow, I just said that, didn't I? And then the hand is in a straight line with the elbow. So it's called square arms because it makes almost a square. The trickiest thing for most people, if I come down onto my knees so you can see better, is not maintaining that square, although that is tricky. The trickiest thing for most people is keeping the arm like this as we perform the exercise. Tightness in the shoulders makes the hands go like this. In rare cases, go like that. Much more common, because we're much tighter across here, much more common for the arms to go like that. So the challenge is to keep the arms in this square position. I'm going to stay on my knees because I think you can see me a bit better here. So now we're going to pretend that these are big heavy doors that we're closing. Keep that elbow at shoulder height. You can see I just adjusted this hand. It was dropping down. And that's one really common thing to happen in this exercise. So keep them up, keep the hands level. Deep breath in, lengthen the spine, engage the belly. We're going to stay completely still everywhere else and just push these big heavy doors closed. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Trying to keep the hands in line. Ooh. This hand. Oh no, the other hand. I can't work out this mirror image thing. Anybody else suffer from dyspraxia and struggle as much as I do with all this back to frontness? Big breath in here, and then just as slowly opening up those doors again, keeping the elbows at shoulder height, keeping the hands and elbows level. Slowly, slowly. Ooh. The left elbows drop in. Relax, but keep the arms there if you can. If you can see yourself, check where your elbows are. Are they in the right place? Squeeze your shoulders back, slide the shoulders down the back, and slowly shut the doors again. Keeping the elbows up at shoulder height. Now we're not going to do very many of these. It's far harder than it looks. So another common thing in this exercise is that the hands aren't straight in line with the forearms. So I'll show you what I mean on the next repetition. That left one's not playing as it keeps sinking down. That's probably because I'm much tighter on my left side. So let's do 2 or 3 more. So we'll aim for 5, but we're working quite small muscles and we're doing quite intensive work. Oh, I was going to show you what happened with the hands, wasn't it? So quite often the hands kind of go like this or like this. We want them straight. So there's an awful lot going on in this exercise. 2 more if you can, but if you need to stop and roll through the shoulders, then do slow, slow, slow. I sped up a bit then. Oh, my hands came together before my elbows. Ooh. I'm going to try 1 more, but I think my arm's getting a bit tired. Shoulders back, shoulders down. Last closing doors. 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep the elbows coming in. Keep the hands and elbows coming in together. Nice. And open. 2, 3. Oh, I keep trying to adjust in the mirror, but it's not a mirror, it's reversing everything. And squeeze back, take the arms all the way back. You can do it on your knees too, if that's better for you. But you don't need to. Do the standing if that works better for you. Stretch the arms back, stretch the arms down. So I've just got my fingers linked here. If that's an option for you, that's great. If not, just take hold of one wrist with the other and pull, and then swap over and pull. You don't need to swap over if you're just linking fingers. Deep breath in, push the hands down, and then as you breathe out, push the hands away from the bottom. Again, don't let the tailbone follow suit, so don't let the pelvis shift like that. Keep the tailbone tucked under, keep the spine lengthening. We're trying to move the hands away from the body. If you are on your knees too, you can have your feet in the same position as me, or you can tuck your toes under and stretch the bottom of the feet as well. 2 for 1. 1 more breath here. Keep the shoulders down. Don't let them squeeze up around your ears. Squeeze the shoulder blades back together. Release whenever you need to. And give your arms a good shake. The door's just blown open, so I'm just going to shut it. And now we're going to roll down. We're going to roll down to the floor. I'm going to come to the end of my mat. So you want the mat in front of you. So this is one of the big differences between yoga and Pilates. There's many differences. A lot of the postures are the same, the moves are the same, the breath is different. Obviously yoga has a much more spiritual base. The way that I teach Pilates, we kind of delve into the spiritual bit a little bit, but yoga goes much, much deeper. But another big difference that people notice if they don't notice the spiritual stuff is when you go down to the floor in yoga, you tend to have the mat behind you. You come down either diving or rolling, and then you go back like so. Pilates, we do it the other way around. So we normally have the mat in front. We're going to roll down to get to the floor. And again, if that's not suitable for you, so if you have osteoporosis a lot in the spine, I don't recommend rolling down. So if that's not for you, make your own way to the floor, and we'll see you there in a moment. So feet hip width, checking in with your balance, checking in with your posture. Big breath in. Relax your shoulders, relax your thighs. Relax your head, so chin to chest. We're going to gently draw the belly in and allow the shoulders to come forwards. And then the weight of the head and the arms, plus the fact that we're gently drawing the belly in and breathing out, all those things together combine
to help us roll down. Now we're just taking our time here, vertebrae by vertebrae, following into the roll down. And it depends on where your tightness is as to where you're going to feel this. You might get to here and tightness in the back of the legs is stopping you from getting any further. So in that case, bend your knees. So you're still going to get a lovely stretch through the back if you bend your knees. If you're trying to keep your legs straight, you might end up coming into this kind of position where you've got your bottom far too far back. So we're trying to keep the bottom over the knees, over the feet, and the head just hanging down. And for a lot of people that really gets into the back of the legs. So bend the knees, feel the stretch in the back rather than the legs, and get as low down as you can. At the bottom, we're going to come into a gentle swing. So we're moving from the belly. So we engage the belly, and just that engagement of the belly, that squeezing of the core, can be enough to bring us around gently to the other side. Squeeze to the other side, release. Squeeze to the other side, release. So my arms are moving, but they're not stiff, and I'm not moving my arms like that. They're just kind of flinging around because they're attached to my torso, and I'm moving my torso with my belly. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, please do let me know and I'll try and find a better way of explaining. So it's just quite a free-flowing swing. I like to think of it as drawing a rainbow around myself. From heel to heel. And again, it's a nice mobility exercise for the lower back into the hips. And then bend your knees as much as you need to take the hands to the floor. Can be fingertips, doesn't need to be flat hands. Keep the head heavy, keep the shoulders relaxed. Walk the hands forwards. We're coming into a pike. Now just like in a forward fold, don't let tightness in your legs steal the stretch from your back. So the first thing we're interested in here is stretching from the hands to the hips. We're trying to get a long straight back. We're trying to push our hips up as high as we can. Bend your knees as much as you need to do that. So you could look like that. In the textbooks it might look like that, but we're not all textbook people. So bend the knees, make sure you're getting a nice stretch. Push into the hands, spread your fingers. Push into the fingers, push into the palms. Don't just push in to the heel of the hand right near the wrist. And then we're going to bend one knee as we push the other heel down towards the floor. The hips are going to move a little bit here, but we don't want them all over the shop like that. So we're trying to push from hands to hips, stabilise the hips, and then stretch through the legs by doing this pedalling. So one heel goes down as the other knee bends. Most people can feel a nice stretch in the legs here. And then we're going to come down gently onto our knees and just stretch back into shell for a minute. We've got two versions of shell, remember. You can have your feet together and your knees wide, which is my preferred, or you can have your feet together and your knees together. Arms extending. Head relaxing down. Arms can be in front, by the side, hands up onto the back. 3 different options. Invent another option if none of those work for you. I'm just going to show you my legs. So my legs here are quite wide. This is my preferred version. I like to stretch my spine here, check in with my tailbone, tuck it under, and then come down. Like so. So I'm lowering my belly, stretching through my spine, lowering my chest, keeping my tailbone pushing back towards my heels, and then relaxing my head to the floor. So I like this version. I prefer this to the other version, but try both and see which you get on better with. Couple of breaths here. And then we're going to go over onto our bellies. So come back onto all fours. We're going to walk out into a plank or a half plank. If that's not for you today, then just you make your way straight down onto your belly. So half plank, come onto your knees, and then come onto all fours, sorry, like so, and then take the knees a little bit further back and the hands a little bit further forwards. So we're still going to have our shoulders over our hands, but our knees aren't under our hips. And we're going to engage the belly, squeeze the shoulders back, and use the belly to support the hips here. If you want to do a full plank, tuck the toes, lift the legs, support the belly. If you're new to Pilates, don't try this unless you've done a live class with me, unless you've got very good core strength and you know it, because it's really easy to drop the hips down. Can you see that big curve in my back coming back? We don't want that. It's quite hard to support the belly, to support the weight of your hips using just your belly. And now from here, or from here, in our half plank, we're going to lower down to the floor. So bending the elbows, lengthening the spine, taking weight into the arms, and then letting the face, the chest, and then the hips come down. And then we're on the floor. I'm just going to pop the camera down a fraction so you can see me a bit better. So take a big breath in and out. Get my pretend yoga block out the way. Tuck your tailbone here. So all that talk I was giving you about your tailbone, think about it just as much here. So we don't want the tailbone sticking up like that. We want the tailbone tucking down. So the tailbone's pointing towards your feet and the belly is squeezing away from the mat a little bit. So you're still trying to keep your washing up bowl level, even though you're lying on the floor. Obviously the analogy doesn't work when you're lying down, the water would tip out. But we're still trying to keep it level. So the belly's squeezing away, the tailbone's pointing down that way. And the arms are just going to be relaxing on the floor. Now we're going to do a bit of dart, so slide the arms down as far as you can, get the shoulders away from the ears and relax the legs. Now sometimes just relaxing the legs is enough to make the tailbone stick up again. So adjust the pelvis, tailbone down, belly squeezing up, gentle engagement, but keep the thighs as relaxed as you can. We want the core doing the work, not the thighs. I'm going to have my forehead to the floor, squeeze the shoulder blades back together a little bit, bend the elbows. Take a big breath in here, and then as you breathe out, raise the head so it's hovering above the floor and circle the arms forwards. Keep the shoulder blades back, keep them down, circle the arms forwards, and then come back. So you breathe in, lengthening back. Breathe out, circling forwards. Breathe in, coming back. Breathe out, forwards, keeping the pelvis still. Keeping the spine long. So every in-breath, think about elongating the spine. Don't let the shoulders come up closer to the ears. Keep the shoulder blades sliding down towards your hips. And if you want to make it a bit more challenging, we're going to make that out breath a little bit longer. And on the out breath, we add a crossover. So the hands cross once or twice or 3 times before they come back. The rest of it's the same. Breathe out to circle and cross or not. Maybe you don't cross at all, maybe you come straight back. Work at a level that is suitable for you. And if you get tired, just relax down, take a breather, you can always join back in again. If it gets too much for your lower back, hands to the top, push back up and back into that shell position. So you're stretching out the lower back. So if you can, do another few darts. If you can't, just stay in shell. And come back. I'm going to repeat that process of going through the plank to come onto my tummy. So we start on all fours, move our legs back a little bit, move our hands forwards a little bit, check that our shoulders are over our wrists, our belly's pulling up, got a nice long spine. Remember, you've got the half plank option or the plank option, and then we're bending the elbows, lowering down, chin, chest, hips. In that order if you can. If it's all together, fine. If it's a bit of a collapse down, that's fine also. We're building up to what we can do. So your option now is to do a little bit more dart, to stay in shell, or to move on to some swimming. So if you've ever done Superman, swimming's a bit like a lying down version. We're going to have both arms extended, and we're going to work with opposite arm to leg. And like in Superman, we don't want to be reaching as far as we can with the arms and the legs, because we want the torso as stable as possible. So the most common thing that I see with this is people really, wrong leg, people kind of really rocking over from side to side like that. We're trying to keep the torso still and stable. We're trying to protect the lower back by drawing the belly up, by activating the core, and then we're going to move the limbs. Now, if doing both arm and leg is too much, you can do legs separately and arms separately. You can keep it really slow, or you can speed it up. Find what level works for you. So like I said, don't reach. Keep that shoulders in their sockets. Keep the top of the thigh bone in their pelvis, the ball and socket joint. Don't stretch it away. So we're going to lengthen a little bit. Keep the ball and joint socket safe, and then lift and lower. Keeping the torso as still as you can. Lengthen, lift, lower. So I'm doing a nice slow version now. So I breathe in as I lower, I breathe out as I lift. Now you can try and work a bit harder in this slow version by raising up for a little bit longer. Now, I don't know if you can see, my whole leg is lifting. My thigh is not lifting very much off the floor, but it's definitely lifting. I'm not bending at my knees. I'm not doing that. It's much stronger movement than that. I'm lengthening and lifting across the diagonal line. So left arm, right leg. And like I said, you can speed this up. Once you've got the movement, you can speed it up a little bit, or you can speed it up a lot, but not if it's at the detriment of that stability of the torso. So only go faster if that feels like a good option for you. Maybe you can interval a little bit of faster, have a little race with yourself, and then have a breather. Do a little bit of slow.
Remember, if you get any twinging or you need to rest, if you get any twinging in the lower back, it's always a good option to push back into your version of shell. And with every out breath in shell, relaxing as much as you can, releasing any tension, bringing softness to that area. So we're going to roll over onto our side. And on our side, we want to line ourselves up with the edge of the mat. Now I've got my head up here so I can talk to you a bit better, but it's really better if you rest your head down on your arm. And if that's not comfortable, just grab a cushion or a jumper and use it as a little cushion. So this is a balance as well, even though we're lying down, because we're balancing on one side. And again, if your hips not comfortable on the mat, you can fold the mat over, have a double mat, or even have a little cushion underneath the hip. You don't want anything too big because that will make it harder to balance, but a bit of padding can work well. So I've got my legs on top of each other. I'm balancing on my hip, so my hips are stacked, my knees stacked, my feet are stacked. Now some people are able to lie in this position quite comfortably. Some people feel like they're going to roll forwards, or some people feel like they're going to roll backwards. So if that's you, if you feel like you're going to roll backwards, just roll forwards a little bit and pop your hand just in front. So I've just got my fingertips onto the mat, just enough to stop me rolling forwards, but I'm still keeping my hips stacked. So I'm not rolling my hips so far forwards, I've really got a lot of weight in my arms. The fingertips are just there, just to help us balance, just like when we do the standing balance. So nice long line here. And then I'm going to move the top foot. Now in the textbook, we have it like this, the foot flat on the floor. And you can grab hold of the shin or wherever you want to, even the thigh, but we're trying to keep the foot flat on the floor. I found that a lot of people in my classes really struggle with that, so we do a version, or we offer that version, where the knee is resting on the floor. And that's quite nice because you get a nice stretch out in this side bit as well. Choose which version works for you. It's the bottom leg we're going to be working. So the bottom leg hasn't moved now, but we're going to work it now. And we're going to keep the toes pointing down and the heel pointing up. In that position, the heel raises, the whole leg follows. We raise up as high as we can. You should feel it in the inner thigh. And then lower down. Oh, it's a bit wobbly today. So breath in to prepare. And then raising and lowering. Keep the heel up, keep the toes down. If you let the foot come out of that rotated position, you won't feel it in the inner thighs. So I'm going to try for 3 more. You can do a few more if you want to. Now this really helps with balance, because you can probably feel it's really helping strengthen that inner thigh line. Take a couple of breaths, and then we're going to do the same movement but pulsing. So again, relax down, stay lying down. I've just got my head up so I can check that I'm doing it right and showing you how to do it right. So get your leg back into that straight line position. Exactly the same movement. Heel comes up, toe stays down, raise the whole leg. Keep it up as high as you can this time though, and pulse. So it's a shorter, quicker movement. If you want to do another round, you can repeat either of those. So the longer, slower ones, get my leg back in the right place, or the short, sharp ones. For now, I'm going to roll over onto my back, hug both my knees in, gently pull them up to my chest, squeeze the shoulder blades down towards the floor and rotate through both ankles twice in each direction. Now we've done that side, we haven't done the other side, so roll over onto your other side while I switch round, so you can just roll over, unless you want to be able to see the screen still, in which case do what I did and switch sides so you can still see the screen. Line yourself up with the edge of the mat again, and that's a great thing, or floorboards are a great thing for checking you're not banana shaped. Now balance yourself on this side, so hips are stacked, shoulders are stacked, knees are stacked, feet are stacked. Rest your head down, get yourself comfy here, and then see what you feel like doing. Do you want to have the foot flat on the floor and you're hanging onto the shin to keep it there? Or do you want to rest the knee over? Make sure you don't roll too far forwards if that's your option. Keep on your side. Rotate the bottom foot. Whole of the bottom leg comes into a bit of a twist. The heel points up, the toes point down, and raise and lower. Raise and lower. I see that heel stays high. I'm definitely feeling it in my inner thigh. Now I'm doing 8 repetitions. You can do more. I think I just did 9. And then relax. Big breath in and out. Then we'll do the pulsing. So heel up, toe down. Lengthen through the whole body. Make sure you're not rolling back in the upper body like I was. And then heel up, keep it high and pulse. Make sure you've not got too much weight pressing into that front knee, because that means you're not balancing so much. If you take the weight back into the centre, you can feel the difference. And then relax that leg down. Do another round of whichever one you benefited from the most, if you want to. And then when you've done, roll back over onto your back. Hug your knees in, hands behind the thighs, chin holding it that same as shoulder blades squeezing back and down. Rotate through the ankles twice in each direction. And then we're going to pop the knees together and the feet together. Big breath in. Breathe out, squeeze the belly to the spine. Relax the thighs. Tuck the chin to the chest. Tuck the head to the knees so we're curled up into a ball. Have a gentle rock from side to side, massaging the back a little bit. And then keep the feet and knees together. We're going to kick forwards to roll like a ball and come up to sitting. This is one of my most hated and most loved exercise by equal amounts of people. So see what you think of it. Big breath in and then breathe out to come up to sitting. We're going to do it a couple of times, so roll back and forwards. Control the weight so you don't go up and over onto your neck.
stay in sitting if you really hate it. At the top, cross your legs over, move a little bit back, and then take the hands in front of you. So we rotate over and come back onto all fours. Of course, you can make your own way up to standing, but from here, I'm going to spread my fingers, tuck my toes, lengthen my spine on an in-breath, and then use a big strong push of the belly to the spine to push my hips up and back into pike, lowering my heels down towards the floor, bending my knees as much as I need to there, stretching from hands to hips and from hips to heels. Adjust your feet if you need to. If moving your feet in slightly means you get a more comfortable position, then take it. Have a gentle sway of the head, making sure the head's floppy, the neck's floppy. And then when you're ready, walking hands to feet or feet to hands or a bit of both to come back into your forward fold. Again, you don't have to have your legs straight. You can have your legs as bent as you need to here. Big breath in here. Push into the whole of the feet, engage the belly, and as you breathe out, tuck the tailbone and roll up. I'm going to put the camera back up so I can see you to say goodbye.
And we finish as we always do, with a wide stance, checking in with the tailbone again, checking in with the posture, lengthening up the spine, wiggle it out if you need to, cross the arms over, and then take a big deep squat as we circle the arms out and up as we breathe in, and turn the palms, circle the arms around and down as we breathe out. Let's do one more of those together, breathing in and breathing out. Thank you very much. I love to hear what you think, so send me any comments and feedback. See you next time.